This is TWiT.
Okay, last Tuesday was the second Tuesday of the month, the earliest second Tuesday possible, being the 8th. And 51 vulnerabilities were fixed. So a good number of vulnerabilities for the first Patch Tuesday of the new year. 7 of them were rated critical. However, it also broke Windows file sharing for Windows 7 and its matched companion, Server 2008 R2. But we'll get to that in a second. First, the good news. There was a surprising DHCP vulnerability discovered internally by one of Microsoft's own guys in their enterprise security group. And it could allow an attacker to send a specially crafted DHCP response to a client to perform arbitrary code execution. Now, that's scary because DHCP is sort of promiscuous. It's on all the time if you are in any normal mode where, especially if you have a laptop and you're roaming around, when you go into the airport or the coffee shop or pretty much anywhere, it's DHCP, which is reaching out and saying, hey, I'm somewhere new, give me an IP. And it turns out that a malicious DHCP server could have been for Windows systems installing code on those systems. They wrote, a memory corruption vulnerability exists in the Windows DHCP client when an attacker sends specially crafted DHCP responses. An attacker who successfully exploited the vulnerability could run arbitrary code on the client machine. To exploit the vulnerability, an attacker could send a specially crafted DHCP response to the client. So the good news is they discovered it internally. They have no knowledge, as opposed to it being found by one of our AV companies, in the wild being used. And so hopefully foreclosed this before anyone got bit by this. So that's good news about last Tuesday's updates. They also found a pair of HyperV vulnerabilities, which could have allowed powerful escapes from the virtualized containment. Microsoft wrote, to exploit the vulnerability, an attacker could run a specially crafted application on a guest operating system, meaning in one of the HyperV VMs, that could cause the HyperV host operating system to execute arbitrary code. So not only an escape, that is like, poking a hole, but actually getting the external HyperV host to do something for you. So not good, and those are closed. There were also 3 other critical flaws were patched in the Chakra Core scripting engine, which was failing to handle memory objects in Edge. And there was also a problem in their Jet database engine, which was publicly disclosed but had not been observed in the wild. So all those things got fixed, and that's good. In addition to, 46, 7, 8 others. However, as has become all too commonplace lately, included in last Tuesday's release were 2 updates that caused problems connecting to network shares on Windows 7 and its server version, as I mentioned, Windows Server 2008 R2. 3 days later, that would have been on Friday the 11th, Microsoft released a standalone update to resolve that problem, which had been introduced by Tuesday's patches. So, first of all, if you didn't have any problem, then you're okay. If you did, the 2 patches that caused the problems were KB 448-0960 and KB 448-0970. So you could remove those, or you could install the subsequent fix, which was 448-7345. Excuse me. And If anybody is like hasn't known what's going on, you haven't dug around or find an answer, I do have the link to that update in the show notes. There was also a registry fix, which, I mean, because this was, for a lot of people, this was a big problem. So there was some scurrying around. A quick fix was found that involved adding a D-word value to a key in the registry under local account token filter policy. If you did that in order to temporarily solve this problem, you should remember to take that out because you don't want to leave that in there, and instead apply this KB 448-7345 fix. Also last week, Windows 7 machines being activated through Microsoft's Key Management Service, KMS, began receiving Windows is not genuine notifications, indicating that the Windows license was not valid, which, of course, you can imagine upset some of the valid Windows users. It turns out that due to its coincidence with Patch Tuesday, the initial suspicion was that something else that Patch Tuesday had done had broken this. But it turns out that we later discovered that there was a change that Microsoft had pushed to their activation servers that broke that, which Microsoft later backed out. They wrote, a recent update to the Microsoft activation and validation unintentionally caused a not genuine error on volume licensed Windows 7 clients that had, and there was some interaction, that had KB 970-971-033 installed. They said that the change was introduced at 1000 UTC on January 8th and was reverted at 430 UTC on the 9th. So made a mistake, realized what had happened, and backed out of it. So anyway, as I said, it's almost more useful now deliberately holding off a week to see what happened after our monthly Patch Tuesdays, since Microsoft has, I mean, I don't think we've had one that's been uneventful for quite a while.